Shout out to the last-minute holiday shoppers here at Rouse's. You should have planned better, but they got you running through here. Every lane looks to be open. We're the NewOrleans.Football podcast coming to you from Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And, of course, we are coming to you from the mobile Ochsner Andrews Health podcast studio, the Sports Institute. Any medical needs, make sure you go check them out. And we are presented by PJ's Coffee. We got a really good show for you guys today. They're going to keep rolling with Darren Rizzi. We're going to see what he's going to do this weekend against the Rams. We're going to break down this game for you guys, talk about where the season's at, where it's going, who's the most improved player this year. So we got all of that and much more after this quick word from our sponsors.
Ochsner Hospital for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on Clearview Parkway is celebrating 5 years of exceptional achievements. The hospital's integrated team has successfully performed over 20,000 surgeries using the latest in cutting-edge technology. With nationally recognized services and impactful partnerships, they continue to lead the advancement of orthopedic and sports medicine care in our region.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering Urban Smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome back to Rouse's on Chapatoulas, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Got a lot of last-minute shopping going on here, but that's never last-minute here because they got so many people working here. They're getting these people in and out like crazy, top-tier operation, and hopefully we bring you a top-tier show today. I know we will.
Oh, no doubt about it. Let's get into our first segment presented by Rouse's, as you said, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And let us get into the first topic, which is about Klint Kubiak. What happens to Klint Kubiak's job after this season?
I think it's kind of one of the more fascinating subplots of the final 6 weeks of the season, because if he doesn't succeed and things look bad, I mean, I don't think you get a third, fourth job, calling plays. Like, I think he really needs to make his case right now. I think now that the team's healthy, you're seeing him do a lot of things really well. And I would expect him, if it's not the staff staying on, for him to probably have opportunities if things continue to go the way they are. But he does need to keep proving it. And he is definitely someone that I think should be feeling a little bit of pressure right now to bring his best foot forward every single week, because he's going to be auditioning again. And that was the big risk, I think, with him taking this job this year, is that, it could have been a house cleaning at the end of the year. And Rizzi's doing his best to make sure that doesn't happen to the Saints. They've won the first 2 games. Maybe they keep it together. But I think if you were that staff, you're doing this with the intent of, okay, we're not just showing it here. Like, we need to show it to every single person in the league, and we need to show that, we are the team we were in week 1, week 2, these last 2 weeks. And, if they do that, it'll take care of itself. But if it doesn't and it goes sideways, I mean, it's definitely a high-pressure situation for Klint Kubiak and that Saints offensive coaching staff.
Yeah, a couple of different conversations to have here. First of all, I think if the season ended today, I think this has been a good stretch for him. And really not just the 2 wins. I thought the Chargers game, when they averaged like 6 yards a carry, the Carolina game, as terrible as that was, Alvin Kamara still had like 225 yards. And then obviously the 2 wins. I think this offense has gotten back to looking positive again. I think if Klint Kubiak and Rick Dennison and John Benton and Andrew Dinoco, and they all come with him, I think that's still attractive to be hired. We're going to see 8 new head coaches around the league. We're going to see coordinators getting head coaching jobs and then staff openings because of that. I mean, the last 2 years in a row, we've seen like 15 different offensive coordinators getting hired around the league. I can't believe he's not one of the ones that somebody would want. But he has to keep that up. He can't have another dip. As of now, the dip feels like it's because Spencer Rattler is playing quarterback, at least narrative-wise, around the league. Offensive line injuries. But he does have to finish strong. If he finishes really strong, though, he kind of helps Rizzi's case to keep his job. We talked about if Darren Rizzi goes 6-2, that puts him right on the sort of 50-50, do you keep him or not? But part of the thinking will be, do you keep the entire staff? If the offense finishes really strong and you don't want to mess up that continuity and you want to keep this offense, that helps Darren Rizzi keep his job. So, it's really interesting. Now, that was flawed thinking by me. Part of the reason I vouched for hiring Dennis Allen when Sean Payton left was Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator. I don't want to lose that. And Ryan Nielsen and Mike Hodges. And it was a really good staff. And it's like if you replace the head coach, you're also replacing the entire defensive staff. I didn't think the Saints should do that at time. Maybe they should have at the time. Maybe they should have gone for much more of a clean break. So maybe that'd be flawed thinking to be like, hey, if you keep Rizzi, you also get to keep this offensive staff. But I think if they kill it over the last 6 weeks, that will factor into the decision.
Yeah, I don't think you keep Rizzi just because you want to keep Kubiak. I don't think you do it that way. I was right there with you the last time, and part of my thinking was, the continuity. We didn't know that Pete Carmichael was a bad true offensive coordinator. He had the 1 season audition during the suspension. Turned out Drew Brees, offensive coordinator, is really effective in that role too. And then you take him out, and it's not as good anymore. But I agree with everything you said. But I don't think that you go into it and say, well, man, we got to keep Rizzi so we can keep Kubiak. If you're going with the new head coach, you're just starting over, and you need to hire the head coach on the merits of the head coach. But if they win a ton of games and that's part of the thinking, and you keep it, I mean, even if it's just for, all right, we're going to do this for another year and then kind of see where it's at the end of that. I think whatever they do, the eject button's probably a little bit closer than it was before. Like, if you do keep, this staff together, I don't think you're doing it and saying, well, we got to give them 3 years. I think it's just like a prolonged audition at that point. And it's like, okay, went 6-2, Kubiak's good, see what the defense does. And, at the end of the year, if you do keep Rizzi, though, I don't know that you automatically keep the whole entire staff. I think you probably would keep the offensive staff. The defense, I think, has to show that it can stop giving up explosive plays, be a little bit more locked down.
Especially in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. So even if you do go that direction, I don't know that it would be the same deal where it's like, well, we're keeping every single person here. I would assume Phil Galliano and them would stay on it. His special teams, obviously. Rizzi really, really likes him. And Phil was getting looks as a coordinator last year, so I think that opportunity is going to come up for him sooner than later. But it's going to be interesting. But I think he's definitely coaching as if he's going to be looking for something. And, for Rizzi, if it doesn't work out, he's a special teams coordinator again. Like, Kubiak needs to prove it. But I would say to this point, I believe he's good. Like,
Yeah,
I think he's proven it.
As I've said, I've been wearing was driving the bandwagon, not only on the Klint Kubiak bandwagon. There's the train driving by right now. But a couple of stats that people might not have realized, because it wasn't just those first 2 games. The 3 things that were a real downfall of the Saints last year: yards per carry, I talked about that, the run game. They were 31st in the NFL. They were 32nd on 1st and 10. They're now 9th in the league in rushing yards per game and rushing yards per carry. Huge upgrade in that. We obviously know that's what this offense is all about. But very quietly, 7th in the league in red zone offense, tied for 2nd in goal-to-go offense. That was the biggest downfall of this team for about 10 weeks last year. And very quietly, that is an area of this team that is greatly, greatly improved this year.
Their starting quarterback was out for a lot of those games, and they're still 7th. That's pretty good.
Yeah, very impressive, Mark. The other day we talked about who has things to prove over this last 6-game stretch, and like both of you all said, Kubiak is in that point where he has to continue to go out there and show that, I don't know how many chances I'm going to have left, but this is what I can put on paper and show what I can do. So I think that going into this Rams game, it's very important to solidify as an offensive unit that, we can go out there, score points, make things happen. So let's roll into our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the AR agency. How much of an impact do we expect the players that returned to practice this week to have? And there's a name on here who was held out. Nick, you detailed it on the dot. Eric McCoy, that groin injury still has him held out, but they're saying it's more of like a caution thing. Just kind of detail that.
Well, I mean, the first part of that, I'm not expecting a ton from Jamal Williams or Tano. I mean, I think they're just kind of rotational type players. Jamal's going to do what he does. He shouldn't be getting a ton of carries. And honestly, we're about a week away from seeing Kendre Miller come back out there probably. We saw him jogging at practice this week, so that isn't super far away. The injury wasn't – I think I reported at the time it was supposed to be a 2-week injury, and then they put him on IR. Yeah. Which is a decision some people disagreed with, and we've heard some of that. Ross Jackson reported that kind of right after it happened, and some people definitely didn't agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that was driven by Dennis Allen, if it was a Kubiak thing. I don't think getting DA out of there necessarily changes the temperature drastically on Kendre Miller. We've heard Kubiak talk a lot about the importance of how you practice and being at practice and all this stuff. So it'll be fascinating to see that. Personally, though, I say that to say I don't want to see Jamal get, like, if it was up to me and I was running the offense, like, I would be giving Kendre the carries ahead of Jamal as soon as he's healthy, as soon as he's out there. And if he gets hurt on his 6th carry, so be it. Like, then you go to the other guy after that. Tano, I mean, it's a nice story. I'm glad to see he got back this quick. I don't expect a ton from him. McCoy hasn't practiced the last 2 days. Maybe getting the day off Thursday gets him out there on Friday. I did some digging around today. Sounds like that one's legitimately still up in the air a little bit. Maybe leaning more toward time, but we'll see by Friday. There's another day. So I think it is legitimately still up in the air, but I don't think him being out there, like, everyone's like, well, no, it's going to be fine. I think it's still like a thing where I don't know what's going to happen at this point. So we'll see on that. But McCoy's big enough to where I can't predict them to win this game if he's not playing. I don't know if him playing means I predict they win, but I know I can't predict them to win this game without Eric McCoy on the field.
Yeah, one of the 2 or 3 most important players on the entire roster. There's no doubt about it. And this is a bad sign. Like, coming out of that game, they made it sound like it might have been precautionary. They're not too worried about it. But if he comes back from a bye week and does not practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, that means it's something that's going to limit him if he does play through it. Now, this could be the plan all along, give him as much rest as possible. If we see him out there practicing on a limited basis,
I do not think that was the case. I don't think it was the case.
What's that?
I don't think it was like a plan, like, oh, we're going to give him these days off and then Friday. No, like, he's simply not ready to go right now. Like, and it's definitely up into the air going into Friday.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, if we see him out there Friday, it gives him a chance. But this is definitely a bad sign.
Yeah, agree.
The other guys, Tano, I think would play. We just saw Nephi Sewell get back in the rotation. Unfortunately, Tano plays a position where nobody's gotten hurt. The only position on the team where nobody's gotten hurt this year. So there's 5 defensive ends ahead of him right now. So I don't know where the playing time will come from. And you said it with Jamal Williams. And not only do I think Kendra Miller should get a lot of looks, and I think under Darren Rizzi and the kind of snaps he's given to people makes me feel like he's the kind of guy who's going to say, hey, you get a fresh, clean start with Kendra Miller too. I think he'll get a lot of looks when he comes back next week. I hope Taysom Hill gets a lot of looks in the run game this week after what we saw last week. So I hope it's Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, and then Jamal Williams, kind of a distant third between those guys. But, look, hopefully Jamal Williams comes back fresh and he adds to that mix. But hopefully those guys are all performing well enough to where they don't need Jamal Williams to carry much.
And then one thing you're talking about McCoy, that's after the bye week. You know, they had the entire bye week for him to recover and try to get healthy, and it's still kind of up in the air going into the end of this week. So we'll have to see how they play it. But these games, this last 6 games, there's no, we're going to hold you out. Very crucial to the success of this team going forward. But you're talking about you can't give this team a win if he doesn't play. Let's go into the next segment presented by Urban South. If you could turn one loss this season, you got 7 to choose from, 7 in a row actually, and flip it into a win, which one would it be?
There's only one answer, Atlanta, because then you aren't losing the tiebreaker. So, I mean, it's absolutely that one. Screw all the other ones. Like, that's the one that you need.
This was like the Alvin Kamara MVP question, where we're like we might have to do a segment on, okay, what's the second? But look, Nick's right. I mean, you want the Atlanta win because then you have the same you have the head-to-head split with them and a chance to tie the division record. You're not, you gain a whole game in the division standings on them with that, and you're only 1 game back. So for all of those reasons, it's Atlanta. But I think I would also pick Atlanta circumstantially too. The Philadelphia loss is in the conversation because the Eagles have been on fire since then. They look like they might be the best team in the NFC, and it would have been really impressive to get a win against Philadelphia. But that still would have felt like the Saints didn't play that well. I think winning that Atlanta game would have been pretty galvanizing. It would have been, lose the Rashid Shaheed fumble, throw the pick 6 earlier in the game, but still come back on the road despite injuries on the offensive line. That was the locker room where players were talking about, I don't care what happened the first 2 weeks, we're just a team that doesn't know how to win games. Like, that would have been wiped away. I think their spirits sunk so badly after that. The avalanche built from there in the 7-game losing streak. The team got really dejected from there. If that team had started 3-1 and came back from that deficit the way they did and held on to win that Atlanta game, I think it also might have changed some of the tone of this team as well.
Possibly it would have changed it, but I still think you
still lose the 3 games.
You
with
still
Spencer
lose,
Rattler,
and you still lose to the Chiefs, and I think you still kind of spiral to where you're at. And the interesting thing to me, like I was going to make the argument that I think getting that Falcons game back doesn't change the trajectory of what followed after. I still think if you win that Atlanta game and everything else still goes the same after, and I think it probably would have. I still think DA gets fired at the end of it. Like, if you change one of those other games in the middle, like if you're like, well, no, I wanted the one against Sean Payton, like that might keep DA alive. Obviously, the Panthers game, like he keeps his job there. The Chiefs, like that kind of gives you like a big win, and it probably extends the patience window a little bit. Like, I think everybody left that Atlanta game feeling like they should have won it, and they lost it because of fumble pump because of Shaheed. And I don't think that broke anyone really big time. Like, it wasn't a terrible feeling in there after that.
A little bit. I thought the locker room was really weird after that game because I thought it was kind of positive, but the team, the things Alvin was saying, the things Chris Olave was saying, like, I was like, oh, man, this team, I mean, they felt pretty broken in that locker room. That's why it stood out to me, is remembering how dejected they were when, like, they were saying things like, winning blowouts early in the season, what does that mean? We can't win a close game.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Like, I don't think it wasn't the same as, like, it felt after, like, the Chargers game or the Denver game. Like, it was more of a, like, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, but we still think we're a good team. I don't think anyone felt like they were a bad team yet. Right. And that kind of came later. So I think you win that, you lose to the Chiefs, and, like, you're right back into the – like, then the Rattler thing happens, you lose to the Panthers, and you're done. Like, I don't think it changes the And depending on what you value here, that might be an important part of the equation.
Yeah.
If you were pro coaching change and you could change the loss, I think it has to either be the Eagles or the Falcons, and then everything else has to play out the same behind it.
Yeah, although I do think one of the factors that led to the coaching change was, a minor factor, but still a factor. Like with the defense on the field against Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Carolina, the defense coached by Dennis Allen couldn't close the door on those games. So that would be one more check mark that wasn't against him. And maybe you do beat Tampa Bay or Carolina if you don't feel like everything is lost if you started 3-1. So I do wonder if there's an alternate reality. But for the most part, you're right. I mean, we might be talking about a 5-6 team instead of a 4-7 team.
I don't think they're beating Tampa with the available personnel no matter what.
They were winning that game with 20 minutes to go before it really, really unraveled.
If you could copy Week 10 Younghoe Koo and put him in Week 4,
Yeah.
we're not. The Falcons game is off of this list, and that's what it came down to. But just for the sake of the future, maybe I would like to have seen them winning between Week 6 and Week 8, just to see what quarterback could go out there and secure a win. At some point, it looked like during the Chargers game that it was possible, but then towards the end, the defense just kept on that skid that they've been on. I wouldn't even say against the Chiefs they were really on that terrible skid, but against the Buccaneers when number 7, I forget his name, it's like Bucky Irvin, when he was just laying it out.
Well, it was Sean Tucker that they couldn't tackle in that
game.
It
just the inability to tackle was just very telling that, the quarterback is hurt and the defense is like extremely bad at fundamental things. So I would like to have seen that for the future, but like you said, in terms of, I don't think it changes the outcome after the Panthers game of Dennis Allen getting fired. So, of course, that 7-game skid was really seeing the underbelly, and they've made changes since then to try to control some of that bleeding.
And we will be right back after this word from our sponsors.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. There's always that one person on your holiday shopping list that's just impossible to find the right gift for. They have everything they want, and there's nothing they need. So what do? This year, head up to Boudreaux's Jewelers on Metairie Road and get that special someone a limited edition Breitling Saints watch. That's right. That's a Breitling watch with the Saints fleur-de-lis right on the face. Only 104 of these were made, so if you're looking for something special, this absolutely meets the mark. Boudreaux's Jewelers has been around since 1933, and they have a great selection of handmade jewelry, watches, and rings. It's the perfect destination for your holiday shopping. Boudreaux's Jewelers at 701 Metairie Road in Metairie. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
It's good! The Saints score! Saints score! Score big with Saints Score. Win up to $100,000. Enter the second chance drawings for cool Saints prize packages. Play Saints Score scratch-offs from the lottery.
Hey everyone, with the holidays creeping up faster than your aunt's fruitcake recipe, I've got something way better to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that Best Groomed at the Family Dinner award, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code NewOrleans for 20% off and free shipping.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back to Rouses here on Chapatulas at the Mobile Oshner Andrews Sports Institute podcast studio. It is now time for our next segment presented by Aaron Rose. Now, it seems like the Saints are continuing to take themselves out of the draft position that a lot of Saints fans would like to see them be in. But let's take a look at it. Currently, the Saints are slated to pick 9th. They're 4-7. A good slate of teams are 4-7. So, where do we go from here?
I mean, they actually improved this week. They went from 10th to 9th. So things kind of worked out. Some bad teams won games. That's always a good thing for them. The higher it goes, the better. But, I mean, look, I think I'm bought in at the point now where I'm kind of into the idea of them chasing the playoff spot. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm sure in a couple months, like, you're going to look at it, and if they miss the playoffs, you're going to say, well, that was pointless. But, you know, we kind of watch sports for, like, the improbable stories. I want to see the improbable story play out now. And it's a more fun outcome if Darren Rizzi leads his team to the playoffs. Like, it just is. It's a cool story. Yeah. Riz is a really likable individual. If it turns out like he was this great coach on the staff and he gets his position this way, that's a cool way to start it. Like, it's kind of like cheering for the underdog. Like, who doesn't like an underdog story? So at this point in time, like, I'm bought into it, and I'm going to regret saying that when they miss the playoffs. And
they're going to end up 7 and 10 and picking 14.
But, you know,
which is kind of the worst possible outcome.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
But look, I mean, it's still – I've made this point a couple of times. It's one thing if as soon as you lost that Carolina game, you could just say, all right, we're going to stop the season now and show up in April with the 3rd pick. Like, actually losing the last 9 games of the season would have been horrible for us to sit through, for the fans to sit through, for the organization and the players and the coaches to sit through. So as long as they're still playing these games, there's a lot of value and just appeal in wanting to see them win it. The one good news for the Saints is, first of all, I don't know if it's mathematically possible for all of these teams to stay this bad in front of them. I mean, it's amazing that means there's 8 teams with 3 wins or less right now. So the Saints at 4-7. But the good news for the Saints is they do have this horrible strength of schedule this year. So they are currently, their strength of schedule has them ahead of all the other 4-7 teams. And I think pretty much wherever they wind up, whether it's 7 wins, 6 wins, or whatever, they will probably have that tiebreaker ahead because of their bad strength of schedule. So it is possible maybe they end up winning 6-7 games and they still end up with pick 11 or 12 and they can salvage something from it. So that is at least one silver lining in that.
You know whose downfall has been pretty shocking? The Cincinnati Bengals, having them at 4-7 with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase playing Trey Hendrickson and them on the defense, and then still being 4-7.
They've been losing like every single close game.
I mean, that's the one I always go to when I say like average coaches with good quarterbacks, and he has been elevated by one of the best quarterbacks. And it's like I hope Joe Burrow gets a better system at some point. I really do.
Everybody's posting those Joe Burrow stats that like look like the Drew Brees 2012, 2016, 2014, 2017 seasons, where like he's thrown for all these yards and all these touchdowns, but they still lose the games because of his defense. Yeah.
Let's get into our next segment, giving away another season award. Kind of who's been the most improved player up to this point in the season for you?
Is Alvin Kamara eligible? Like, I feel like he's back in the offensive player of the year conversations after he went back to feeling kind of human the last couple years.
No, you're going to make me go off here. Like, that was not him. And I've pointed out the analytics like a million times. Like, but it was yards before first contact, all that stuff. Like, that was a failure of the system. That, like, saying it's like Alvin's the most improved.
But I'm saying, like, I'm glad to see the resurrection of Alvin Kamara. If you tell me what we've seen happen this year, the resurrection of Alvin Kamara is probably the number one brightest spot on the team. That's why
But, like, it kind of, like, implies there was, like, a fall-off with him. And, like, it was a Pete Carmichael fall-off.
Right.
Like, it was a bad blocking fall-off. It was a bad system fall-off. But, yeah, I mean.
The resurrection.
He's for somebody, like, if you're not, like, looking under the hood or whatever, it's like, wow, how's this car running again? It's like, well, like, it wasn't because
always
of him.
running. They just couldn't open the garage.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
No, I do not mean to imply that Alvin dropped off and Alvin's playing well again. But it's just I've got a couple other names. I'll let you guys mention your picks first. And it's like, that guy's improved a little. It's good. He's gotten the opportunity. But nothing has been more valuable to this team than getting Alvin Kamara back to what he should be.
I'm kind of at a loss on this one a little bit. Like, I'm leaning towards Foster Moreau a bit. I mean, he actually leads tight ends in yards per target. Like, he's every time they throw him the ball, like, he looks good. Like, he's made a lot of plays this year. Just doesn't get targeted a whole lot. I just don't. There's nobody that really popped out to me when this question came across. Like, I was kind of
still have an answer, but
I have one too. I'm probably not going to take yours, so I'm going to go with my second answer. And Blake Groupie, so far this season, he's 18-19. He's reliable whenever they roll him out there. There hasn't been any really like game-winning situations to where they roll him out there and he wins the game. But I do think that Groupie's ability to kind of get more consistent than what he was before last season, it's not bad
Especially
at all.
when we thought he was in a neck-and-neck battle to keep his job. Not only did he cement that job, he's cemented it even further as the season gone on. But I'm going to still go with Alontae Taylor. I wrote about him today. Obviously, the last two games haven't gone great for him, and he's finally getting his opportunity to be the number one outside cornerback that he wants to be. And he's shown a few warts with the penalties against Atlanta and then getting beat on both of the touchdown passes against Cleveland. But up until that point, he was the obvious answer to this question. And look, part of the reason I wrote about him this week is he was getting benched against the Rams with 3 weeks left in the season last year. He got benched again before the season was up, came back from both of those benchings. But then he had an incredible offseason. He was dominating the first half of the season, really embraced that slot position. So for the first 10 weeks of this season, he was the clear answer, and I think he did enough in those 10 weeks to make him still the answer, but with more of a question mark next to it now.
Who else was on here?
It's funny, you guys were mentioning Pete Werner earlier.
That's who's number one on my list.
I had not thought of him for this.
Yeah.
But then when you guys were mentioning Pete Werner, I'm like, oh, yeah, he is probably a good answer to this question. So expand on it.
Yeah, he was number one on my list because you brought Willie Gay in to kind of compete with him at that position over the summer. DA wanted to see something from him, and he definitely showed in space. They paid him, you know what I mean, that he is still that guy. So I think most improved and consistently improving is Pete Werner.
We haven't mentioned Trevor Penning. Does he deserve – should this be a Trevor Penning discussion?
Yeah, I mean, he's on it. Yeah, I mean, I mean, he's definitely improved. Like by the definition, improved.
It's been a little hyped. It's been a little inflated, but the improvement is obvious. Great improvement.
Yep.
Now it's time for the Martin Wine & Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's so much more than just wine. Today's question is, what's your favorite memory from watching football on Thanksgiving?
I'll let you guys go first because I got the one that wins.
Okay. All right.
I think we got the same one, but you
maybe.
And you probably were there.
I was there.
Okay, so we
You gotta
got
go
the same
somewhere
one.
else.
All right, all right.
I took this as a youth question. I covered a couple of, I think Cam had a 4-sack game. Drew Brees had threw touchdown passes to 4 undrafted receivers games. So there's some Saints memories. Malcolm Jenkins had an incredible play in Dallas once. But I took this as a youth question. And I couldn't remember Thanksgiving specifically. One of my favorite memories, period, as a youth is, as a kid, is when we had to, you only had the 3 channels on TV, but on Sundays, we would bring the second TV out to the living room. So we would have the NBC game on the color TV and the CBS game on the black and white TV, and we got to watch 2 TVs at once in the living room. We were living like the Rockefellers.
When it was over, did you watch Leave It to Beaver?
Yeah, probably.
3 channels on TV.
Dude, that was until I was in high school. That was into the 80s. They didn't have other options. So when the NFL came on and you had 2 TVs, both showing NFL games at the same time, that was incredible. My dad, my brothers, we would all get around the living room. I couldn't remember a specific Thanksgiving memory, so I cheated and Googled. My favorite guy growing up was Randall Cunningham. I love the Eagles. I also love the defense led by Reggie White. I used to sit in the car when that game was on the radio, when they weren't on TV, so I could hear them on the radio. And I Googled, did Randall Cunningham ever play on Thanksgiving? And those Eagles teams never played on Thanksgiving, except he did come back and play against the Cowboys. I see you guys laughing at me. I mean, these are true
so many
stories.
old things happening here.
I hope our listeners are with me and laughing at you guys for being so young.
I'm 24, man.
But
I had to sit there.
But when Randall Cunningham came back with the Vikings, he threw to rookie receiver Randy Moss a 51-yard touchdown, a 56-yard touchdown, and a 56-yard touchdown, all against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So Randall Cunningham balled out as an old man on Thanksgiving Day.
Did they really used to play the national anthem and then sign off at the end of the night?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I very much
I didn't know
remember
if that was a real
I
thing.
used to stay up and watch Letterman, and there'd probably be one more show and then the national anthem and then sign off. I was disappointed when the TV went off.
You're not even that old.
I'm telling you, you guys don't remember how close it was. I'm trying to think. When did we didn't have
you rock there, you
we
were
didn't
looking
have
for your rock
you thinking about it. No, I'm rocking and rocking.
We didn't have internet. We didn't have cable. We didn't have VCRs. And if it didn't come on TV, you weren't watching it.
You went to get water from the well,
man. It was special. No water from the well. This was 1984, man.
I got you.
It's not that long ago.
I got you. I'm gonna
have to bring Jeff Pizzo on to school you youngsters.
I know which one you're going with, so I'm gonna go with another one, which was my backup because I figured you were gonna go this one. I'm gonna go with Shy Tuttle, the original, kind of like what Bing did in Kansas City.
Back when you were young.
That's right. I was
Shy Tuttle was stiff arming the Saints.
That's right.
Ooh, you want to rock your rocking chair?
That's right.
I remember way back when Shy Tuttle stiff armed the Falcons.
That's exactly what it was. Shy Tuttle, he picked up the ball, ran, stiff armed Matt Ryan. That was good Thanksgiving
Brandon was
football
6
memory.
when that happened.
So I happened to be at MetLife Stadium for the butt fumble. So, that's just really there's not a lot to be said there. It was as wild when it happened as it was in the aftermath. It was just kind of everyone was like, did that just happen? Everybody's laughing. The Jets had one of the best Thanksgiving dinners I ever had in my life. It was an incredible day. That was just an incredible moment. It was the height of the Belichick, Rex Ryan, the beef or whatever. There was so much good stuff there. Rex got hired, and I remember he said, yeah, I'm not coming to New York to kiss the rings and all that stuff. And then you get the butt fumble. But they were good rivals for the past for a couple of years. Sanchez, people forget they got to an AFC title game, and then the butt fumble. It was an incredible moment.
Well, just refresh my memory. Wilford bench pressed him in.
No, he just ran into some guy's backside. He freaked out in the pocket and ran into somebody.
Okay.
That was it. That was it. That's why it's still a thing to this day.
That's just crazy, man.
Yep.
Sanchez, I don't know if he'll live that one down, but yeah, it was against the Steelers, huh? When they went to the AFC Championship and lost. So that was a kind of era where the Jets were a little high. Not right now. They thought they were getting back to that right now. They say,
Rex Ryan wants that job back.
He gonna get it back. He can't get it back.
Maybe Tannenbaum will hire him.
Maybe. We'll see. But if you're out and still shopping, make sure you come to Rouse's on Chop. They have everybody in here still. So come be in that number, and happy Thanksgiving. Catch y'all next time.